Welcome to Universal Journey Talk, spreading positive energy. All right, I am Kirk with my brother, once again, Erik, the allegorist. What's going on, man?
What's up, guys?
Hey. All right, so we had I think the Brothers was our last episode, and this one was just a little bit more something that you and I were kind of just talking about, I think like last week or so. Again, we've kind of been doing a lot of stuff with our day to day and things. So we're trying to do our episodes every week, but we had to skip last week, just being busy and things like that. But anyway, so we really want to cover this topic, whatever, which is something we were talking about before, which is it's broad, but we're going to get into a specific area of it. It's about relationships, kind of leading into soulmates, and then even more deeper than that. So I guess, for one, like I've said before, my wife and I now, we've been together for 26 years. So I feel like, we've got some credentials in being able to, kind of talk about the things that work for us, and also many of the hurdles that we had to go over. But one of the more interesting things that I kind of found was where you, Erik, actually in your travels and things, when you met Kristen some time ago, the two of you really didn't know too much.
About 6 years.
What's that?
It's been about 6 years.
Okay.
6.
So at the time, before that, I would definitely say you definitely had you've always had like a very strong mental way of, in a strange way, I think you were almost kind of manifesting before you really knew about manifesting. And then, in a strange kind of way, that's kind of, what kind of led both of your paths together. But what was more interesting about it was that then the two of you started to learn. I guess, you felt like there was this different connection than like, anyone else in the past. So you started looking into it. I think you went to maybe mediums and things like that. And they were trying to educate you and her on the concept, which then you taught to me and Vanessa and things like that. That once again, in the universe, there's all different types of relationships and connections and things like that. But the one that they were kind of more indicating toward you and Kristen was that you were what's known as twin flames. And so it's a long, I guess people that are more into astrology and things like that, they understand it. I didn't know anything about it. So you had to teach me more about it and stuff. And it was very, very interesting because this is not just a relationship that is a one lifetime thing. This is something that's revisited over and over again through lifetime. So it's a very deep connection. And it was interesting because ever since you kind of met her, ever since then, the two of you really took off in a very different way that you were kind of living, your life, where, you really got more into the universe, manifesting, spirituality, all these, and not just the more common Bible, based spirituality. You went off into very many different directions and stuff, which is really cool because then, of course, you started, relaying a lot of these things to myself and Vanessa, which really helped us have a much greater, idea of how things work. Just like even I had said some time ago, I think in one of our earlier episodes, how, or maybe I didn't say it, but the one thing that I've kind of even been realizing is that the universe is always speaking. And once again, it's just, how do you want to try and hear it, or do you know that, you can listen to it and be in tune with it if you understand certain parts. Now, of course, there's so many different parts to that, but, like even how the universe, everything has like a perfect, synchronicity and how numbers are very important in understanding, the stars and numerology and all these other things and stuff, but how they all have an impact on us. Anyway, so, so basically with you, I think it kind of started off with you and Kristen more, once again, at realizing and through other people, teaching you and stuff, that you had this connection of being twin flames, and how what that all means and stuff. I'm sure you've, like anyone else in relationships, we're all gonna have up and downs, but it's just interesting, how it really kind of just took you in a very different direction, to where where you are now. You're so different from the way you were back then. So I think I just want to kind of turn it over to you to kind of just kind of explain a little bit more about anything about or even what's related to it. By the way, if I'm a little nasally, I've been working out in the yard all day with all this pollen. I'm terrible. But anyway,
Yeah, it means outside a lot. So.
Yeah. All right. So wait, I'm just trying to. For some reason, it seems like your video and the audio syncing up, which is not good. All right. Well, hopefully we'll make this thing work. So getting back to you, so I think I just wanted to have you kind of like go over a little bit more about twin flames, and also anything that's kind of like in connection to it, and just kind of like like a bit of your journey, how it's changed you over these years, as you've learned more and more about your connection and your purpose and other things like that. So just take it away.
All right. I guess like twin flames, it can mean many things. People interpret it in many different ways, but I would guess the definition, one of the definitions of it would be like a twin flame relationship is an intense soul connection, sometimes called a mirror soul, thought to be a person's other, based on the idea that sometimes one soul gets splits into two bodies. Divine feminine and divine masculine. And usually, as the human, I guess, when human beings or whatever, for that matter, come together in this divine union, which you'll call like a soulmate, twin. And I would say you have soulmates as well besides your twin. You can look at it as a soul tribe. And but when you come in a union with your soulmate, your twin, it's usually because there's a divine soul purpose. It's the relationship is more spiritual than of anything. You know what I mean? Some twin flames, it doesn't even have to be a romance relationship, or between a man and a woman necessarily. Some twins they could be brothers, they could be best friends of the same sex or gender, in that matter. You know what I mean? Right. So there's many things. Or a twin could be a mother and daughter relationship. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
But many of them obviously are the masculine, feminine, male, female, or gay partnerships. Because even when you look at that, it's usually even in like, let's say if it's two people of the same gender together, but when you go to the soul is still, there's a masculine, and then there's a divine masculine and a divine feminine. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So like so you can understand it in many ways, but so when usually you come together in the same paradigm, usually twins, souls don't usually twins don't usually meet in the same paradigm. That's more like a phenomenon, in a sense. But when they do meet in the same paradigm, it's usually for a divine purpose, or a speedy evolution, a rapid evolution of consciousness, of your consciousness. You know what I mean? And evolving rapidly. Usually, that's why, like a twin flame relationship, it's like it says in the definition, would be from a twin flame relationship is that it will be both challenging and healing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that would be that divine purpose, and usually that rockets you with to move forward in your to fulfill your soul's potential. You know, in its totality, or get there. They say Jesus and Mary Magdalene were twins.
Okay.
So when you look at it, Jesus representing the path of light or the divine, path, and Christ consciousness, and evolving, into, I guess, 5D or and beyond. And that's one way you can look at it. And everyone, they say, usually has a twin soul. It just doesn't mean you are necessarily going to meet in the same paradigm, or at least yet. But right now, the way the universe has been expanding at an alarming rate, accelerating. Looking at the universe, if it's like God's mind, when God expands, everything else expands. We expand, humans, cats, dogs, bacteria, angels, demons, everything. So it's a good thing. It's it represents evolving. And when we look at that, there's more souls, more twins coming, incarnating on this planet, and it's raising the vibration of the planet, and that's always a good thing. And so we have a lot of good things we have a bright future ahead. And between this twin and the other star seeds, and it goes on, and aliens. But
so just kind of, I'm kind of thinking about this, and I think you told me like some time ago, because remember I was trying to say like, okay, look, I think the twin flame thing makes sense, but I was trying to see more like what was the divine depth or purpose of what that connection means. And I was like, I was trying to talk to you about this, and I don't know if you kind of remember. It was a long time ago, but basically it was kind of like by the two of you realizing your connection, and kind of like your destiny, I don't know if you want to call it, what purpose, whatever that is. It was that the two of you had like a purpose, like something. Your connection was for a purpose of what you were supposed to do, as far as goes. And once again, I get a lot of terminologies wrong and stuff on how to, I guess, like bring higher consciousness or release people from, the bondage of, whatever, spiritual bondage or whatever this, these things were. Like, in other words, things in connection with the universe and whatnot. I don't know if you remember kind of like a lot of the things that you were saying, but like if you can kind of like explain.
I can't think. It's always like that. You know what I mean? Like from a spiritual point, basically, we're healing ourselves, and we're all teachers and healers. And the spiritual side to that is it's always healing yourself and healing others. Because if you look at it this way, if you believe that we're all come from God, or our spirit, our soul, or our spirit, that Holy Spirit energy,
a source, source,
source, whatever you want to call it,
right?
But that infinite, eternal energy, that resides within us,
right.
That's how we're alive, is eminent. Where does that energy even come from? Where does that battery come from? But
I mean, basically, I guess what I was trying to remember is like, I mean, I think, were you even kind of mentioning to me almost kind of like there are like the powers that be, whether they are earthly or even like beyond this, talking like possibly alien or possibly whatever that is, higher. Light beings or maybe beings of dark or whatever and stuff that are essentially doing things to kind of like control, our potential as humans to be they're trying to limit ourselves to be to limit our ability to become greater. And
Right.
and you were mentioning about that, and I think that was kind of one of the things where you were kind of even mentioning. It's like, well, for one thing, I mean, I think we all know that information and knowledge is empowering, and that's freedom. And I was kind of like, which clearly you'd helped me with, helped Vanessa with, and stuff. Um, and I think that was kind of like one of the things that you were kind of talking about, which was like, again, kind of your purpose. And I forget kind of like the ways that you were saying it. Maybe you may see it differently now, but it was a way of kind of like helping to free people's minds or something, right? Wasn't that, or to unchain them or something?
Yeah, that's basically, like any, usually that's the spiritual practice, to break those chains, like you said, release yourself, free yourself from bondage, freedom, and that's really what that connection is, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that that's the only connection, you know what I mean? Just it's all a spiritual process. So especially in a soulmate relationship, that's why there's an importance to be in a soulmate relationship because remember it's divine, so it's only benefiting. That's why when you go through this, it's like a roller coaster. You go through your challenges. Because it's like a runner chaser fate, you know what I mean? And that's why most people that are twins and if that are in in their relationships, it's a lot of healing and challenges and to so you can evolve and out and it accelerates the process,
Right. I think that definitely. From
and raise the vibration. Raise your high. It's so you can evolve closer to 5D conscious. If you really want to look at it like just basically that's basically the purpose. And
okay.
with that is that's the sole purpose. Because when you're in 5D, as a healer and a teacher, you'd be more effective. Like Jesus was 5D. You know what I mean? That's what the human race is evolving to, basically that Christ consciousness. You know what I mean? That's why you have all these star seeds and twins and many high vibrational beings or light workers that come to this planet to heal it in its totality and us and everything on it and this it goes into transmutes into many other things as well, but it's all ultimately beneficial.
Yeah, I think that was something that was kind of like some of the stuff that I was getting into, where I was kind of like I was trying to understand like what a light worker is, and you kind of went into that a little bit more. And I guess once again, you kind of like, as I kind of stated, you were kind of just talking about helping people understand that it's almost kind of like, and I hate bringing up the same analogy of the Matrix, but the Matrix was so on with so many things.
I was going to get there, yes.
Yeah. And that's it's funny. I almost wonder, like, I don't know what the Wachowskis, where they got their inspiration from. Maybe they're into some of this stuff. I don't know. But that movie came out back in, like, whatever, 1999 or something like that. And, besides all the glam and the action and stuff, the concept was... Right. Has changed essentially the way that people think even today. People refer to things now as, dude, you're in the Matrix, or this is all the Matrix and stuff like that. Because it was a movie, but the concept really made kind of people like realize it, like it opened up something. You know what I mean? And in the same way, for at least from my perspective, and even as yours and many others, we're starting to realize that it's like there is, once again, like I said, there are things put in place that are slowly being unraveled that are helping, or that people are becoming aware of. And we're starting to realize that there's much more to this story that is, that humans are, in certain ways, we're being controlled, bondage, all these things. And in so many ways, like, from food to entertainment to, misinformation to whatever. I don't know. Like there's just it goes in so many directions. But anyway, bringing this all back around is just that one of the things that now coming back to me and Vanessa and I is that over the years when like it wasn't until about I guess she's just a couple years younger than me when I turned 40, and that was the time when you, Eric, and I were talking a lot, and that's when you started to I don't know, just because of the path that you went in, like you were once again I kind of think of you as like the wild stallion, like you can't be so easily controlled, blah blah blah, but that's good, just figure out life the way you want to figure it out.
Flashy.
And yeah, and so that was good because I was always very much, like once again, more like religious oriented, blah blah blah. Oh, stew, whatever things that they say, blah blah blah. And then you did help me to challenge those things, and with that, it actually helped me to challenge, I guess, what they consider to be conventional or traditional or whatever the norms are of how they say you're supposed to act. And I mean act in any way. I'm saying like, if you're 40 years old or whatever it is, well, you're 40 years old. You shouldn't be doing this or listening to this type of music or acting that way or blah, 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 or blah, blah, blah. You shouldn't blah, blah, blah. You shouldn't say those things. You shouldn't. That's inappropriate. That's, whatever, blah, blah.
I think the term is 3D, ultimately, what we're saying. I think it's more just a 3D way of perception of looking at things, which is usually just a conservative, the way. I'm not saying it's necessarily a wrong thing, but it doesn't. Remember, like when as we're trying to evolve to like one day be 5D consciousness, well, no, we're much more open-minded. You have to be open. You know what I mean? That's the only way your consciousness can expand. That's the only way you could reach that level like of Christ consciousness. That's why Jesus said, "You can do what I can do, and even greater things." What did he really mean by that? You know what I mean? One really should contemplate on that.
Yeah, and I think that's basically kind of like once again where I'm what I was kind of going, kind of pointing to is that so when you start to, kind of like let yourself go, be more open, be more, and even I want to say be a little daring, like try to
take risks.
Yeah, take some risk. Now
it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to but you're gonna make mistakes.
Yeah,
you learn from them and and evolve.
Right.
It's because I'll tell you this, Kirk. Because I've been with my twin. You know what I mean, my beloved, for past about 6 years, and I've been in a relationship. with the mother of my child, which was relatively a good relationship for 17 years. That's high school sweetheart, and but what transpired is when I met my twin, or soulmate, whatever you want to call it. What was interesting is that I was having an awakening. And I didn't know, things were happening, just, rather it's, psychic or visions and things were just, it was unreal. And then, understanding what, twins are and research and understanding, mediums, whatever, you learn as you do your own research and intuitively, I started realizing, okay, yes, this is an awakening. And that's what usually happens when you come in union with your twin, or your soul, your whatever, your other half. I want to say usually think that a lot of times when you say your other half, but people think that they're less of a person, they're missing a half, but it's you're already a whole. But when you come into this paradigm together, you're reaching in a divine purpose that's going to accelerate your soul or your consciousness in a way. It's like an accelerator, So, but I was having a real serious awakening, and it was there was times that it was overwhelming, wow, but and in times you want to talk about but really a real high, like a high vibration, like it's hard to explain. It's but when you some awakenings like you, I think people have awakenings all the time, but a lot of times they don't realize it, and it's not until to me when someone actually calls that they're having an awakening, it's just that they're actually aware of it. They're actually aware of it.
Okay, by the way, we just had like a little technical difficulty. I just wanted to bring up to everyone. I'm trying to figure out that there's a lag in between the audio and the video, so sorry about that. Anyway, so Eric, you were talking about whatever, like the high, the intensity of this connection. Take it from there.
Again, yeah, and it was sometimes when you have an awakening, I think people have when they call it like a big awakening, is that you're more aware of it. It's something just connects you, like what I mean, and tunes you in whatever frequency that is, and literally they're like highs, or I think what that feeling is, that bliss or whatever that is, that divine feeling of serenity or whatever. I think that was the conscious being tuned in. The brain was downloading that 5D, or a little hint of it. And I think that's what an awakening is. A lot of times when you have all these little awakenings, it's you being present, and it seems like it adds there's an added dimension to what you're looking at. That's why you can look at a tree and things are just more. It's just more vibrant. You know what I mean? The colors are, you know what I mean? And probably similar in some ways. People like to different hallucinogenic, or like mushrooms, or what I mean, or DMT. It's almost like tapping into different parts of the brain, downloading consciousness that are of higher vibrational frequencies, which would translate, to having a severe awakening of some sort, or feeling that divine Holy Spirit, or that, because it's a sense of that 5D. You know what I mean? You get a little sample, and then you notice it goes away, and then it'll come back. There's awakenings. But I think the key is eventually, like, I think Jesus, if he was going to be like a representation of that, of someone who reached the level of 5D consciousness and who was constantly in it, that's when he had that halo that they show, And I felt like that. That's how I felt when I met my beloved. You know what I mean? And me and her continue to go through this process together, and it's like a roller coaster in many ways energetically, but we're always learning. You know what I mean? And our relationship's getting deeper and deeper. We're always working on things, and really evolving to just to be in a relationship that's authentic, and that's what the soul wants. That's what's craving, and truth. And you're seeking truth, and you'll see that in many aspects of your life. That's one of the spiritual side. You'll notice when in a lot of soulmate relationships, whether they even realize it or not, usually there's always some type of spiritual aspect all of a sudden that comes out of nowhere, when maybe you weren't even really that spiritual ever. Actually, maybe we're kind of this. Maybe that was kind of corny in a lot of senses, where you look at people like people are like like hippies or something, But it's just you. I guess transcend. I guess a little bit. And
yeah. Well, I think. I think. Sorry. I think that was kind of like the thing that I noticed with you, because once again, I'm not going to get too much into your past and things, but you were definitely not a guy that had a problem getting girls. You definitely didn't have a problem with that. So it was interesting how when you met her, once again, like there was this whole new energy that I've never seen come out of you, a passion. And actually, I would say the passion between the two of you is powerful
Yeah.
and yet also, I don't want to say destructive, but it's almost it seems like it's hard for the two of you to manage how strong your connection is sometimes. And I think that's, maybe that's indicative of, being a twin flame, which is like the two of you are in each other's minds. And that can make it hard to, I can only imagine, girl problems and this and that uh, tend to get in the way of things. And I'm talking for all his brothers. It's like, I'm just saying, I'm not trying to, to toot our own horns, but it is what it is, whatever, But not to say that that's really an issue, but these things do come into play. But so along
Like
with that,
human.
what?
We're still human,
Well,
We all have
exactly,
backgrounds, many things.
and that's the whole part of what
All
I'm kind
part
of
of the
talking
process.
about. What's that?
It's all part of the process.
Yeah, exactly, and
We're
that's
all the phoenix rising out of the ashes, and especially, and that's part of it. You know what I mean? In these relationships, in these soulmate relationships, and remember, and again, a soulmate relationship doesn't just mean a twin flame relationship. You also have soulmate relationships that you're not with your twin flame. You know what I mean? That's your mirror. A twin flame is your is a mirror relationship. It's of polarity. It's your other half of your soul. Reacquainting itself again over in another way and evolving together, and then like anything, then it separates and splits into another phase. And one aspect would be like a lot of times if you look at in energy, or it's like maybe in a sense of like soul DNA. Soul DNA, it's like if you it'd be like 144,000 souls, energy souls, all right, and they at each one of those 144,000 souls splits into 144,000 souls. Then it has its own tribe, and then in that tribe of 144,000 souls, each of those souls splits into two, and that would be kind of like a sense how you have your soul tribe, and then you have your twin. So you have your soulmates and the soul tribe, but then in that tribe you have your personal twin, a mirror image of yourself, even though you're all part of one tribe. And let's say in a human sense and to the energy sense of the soul, like after you die, or let's say all your soul tribe comes from a certain from a constellation. We'll say Siri, right? And or the Pleiades, that's your soul tribe where you come from. So wherever you go, they go.
right.
But and that's how it goes through incarnation, no matter what. So it's like when you incarnate on this planet, your soul tribe is here, and it doesn't matter. Rather, it could be your worst enemy, or your high school, or your school bully that beats you up. That could be a soulmate, because they're playing a role to make you evolve in a sense. You know what I mean? So some have to play the bad guy, others got to play the good guy.
Thanks for watching. Give us a like. We'll be replying to your comments in our next episodes. We post almost daily, so subscribe to keep up with the latest.